Whoa, hey, we're live. Welcome, everybody. It's been a while. Welcome to Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm your humble host, William Kale from Coinigy.com.
How do you get
And
your
along with me-
pictures so big? I gotta go like this.
Oh, yeah, that MacBook camera, man. It just makes everything look like it's 10 pounds heavier. So you'll notice we have a regular band of cast of characters there. Mr. Beamish, Brian Beamish from The Rational Investor. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Always great to hang out and get the opportunity to hang out with you. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, we're sitting with Crypto Nobility tonight.
Yeah.
Nobility. What the hell? What's that all about?
Da Vinci.
Okay.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
I quit smoking, otherwise I would hold my lighter up. But yeah, in case you guys haven't seen Da Vinci, someone, I guess big on Reddit, discovered his YouTube channel, and he's just been blowing up, man. So we're trying to, keep his feet on the ground, make sure his head's not getting too big over there. But pretty awesome. It's pretty cool to see, because we know you've been at this for years and years, and it's cool to see, some recognition coming your way. So
yeah, damn straight. Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
very much. Yes.
I think I even said recently, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to get this out, that, like I've worked with Dav for a while now, and I got to tell you, man, you put in the time and effort. You really, really worked hard. And from my perspective, you deserve all the success that's coming to you, dude. You really do. So just want to say that right off the bat.
Thank you very much. I mean, it was hard times back in the day trying to convince people to buy Bitcoin at $1. They were like, that's just crazy. That's just nuts. That's some video game money that nobody's going to ever use. And nothing I could do to explain it to people that this is not a video game. This is not some toy. This is real. Well, no one would listen. And my videos got thumbed down. That's why nobody knew about me.
Well, and the good part about it is that you ate your own cooking. And if I'm not mistaken, you did rather well on that Bitcoin rally. So, I mean, that's the key at the end of the day is, did you actually eat your own cooking?
Yes.
And I'm exceedingly proud of you and having known you, because I worked really closely with you to get you sort of pointed in a good direction, eh?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I remember, I was struggling. I was trading before I learned how to trade with you. And I would lose like 100, 200 Bitcoins at a time.
Ouch.
And so, all that turned around really fast once I took your courses.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear that. And, as I tell people on the site on a daily basis, that's the whole reason why JoJo has me doing this, is basically to help people like you, because you have such a good heart. And you have the best intentions, but unfortunately, nobody teaches people how to do this. And so it was great watching you transform from a very typical public participant into a professional. So I love the fact that you did really well and you got rewarded. And I think it's beautiful now. And half of the reason why I wanted to do this video tonight was, and I've actually asked a number of TRI OGers, and I think I even reached out to you, that half of our job now is just to be a support for this community.
Exactly.
Because, most of the people that came into the market in 2016, 2017, they don't understand. And from my perspective, this is just business as usual. Nothing's really different here. It's just the market is taking the opportunity to destroy a bunch of people that came into the party way too late. So, as we talk tonight, and I had the great opportunity to get to know Will and the good people at Coinigy through the last cycle. And if we're really lucky, Jesse Couch might join us tonight. And I don't know whether we can get Alex in tonight or not, but if we're really lucky, maybe he'll pop in too. But these are all people that have been through the previous cycle. They know what 2014 was like. And you remember that, eh? I mean, it was a pain in the butt.
Yes.
But at the same time, too, you know, and hopefully we'll talk about it tonight. What do bear markets look like? What's a typical duration? Are there levels that we're coming into that actually you might think about as support? And ironically enough, if you can actually consider investing your money now in this space, I think there's actually some really good, interesting ideas out there. And so for a little part of conversation tonight is I really want to pick your guys' brains as to what are the fundamental stories that you really like in this space right now. And if anything, this is when we really need to concentrate on, you know, good fundamentals, you know, who's actually got a future in this space versus just sort of the flash in the pan startup stories.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the opportunity to hang with you guys tonight. I'm really excited. Hopefully I can help. Remember, guys, my number one priority out of all this is to try and help you guys. I'm not in here for a shill. At the same time, too, you know, TRI is starting to get pretty big. And we have a staff now, and we have, you know, little babies that are dependent on, you know, parents bringing home the income. So, you know, we are running a business, and just like Coinigy, and I'm really excited about things like Pandora's Wallet, you know, so Dav's working away on his businesses. It's great to see everybody growing. But my number one priority here is to try and help the community. And if I can, that's what I'm here to do. So please, everybody understand that. I come at this from absolutely the best intentions. I'm not really trying to sell you a product here whatsoever. But at the same time, too, like I said, hopefully there are future DAVs out there that I can help just get nice and centered. And so the next run, they can become millionaires too, right?
Definitely. You know what? Where this bottoming is setting up for the next round. Right. It's going to take some time, but you know what? If you're patient, right, you let your money work for you, you can definitely make huge profits as long as you know when to take profits. That's the problem.
Yeah, force yourself to pay, and that, you know, that's such a hard thing. Is to actually force people to pay themselves for their hard work. Man, it is difficult. I mean, I did. I'm very proud to say that I think I'm just ballparking it, but the last time I looked, I think we actually booked auditable records, and I find it fascinating that people actually question it, but I'm more than happy to show my trading record. But you know, the end result for us was something like a 30,000% return on the money that we had originally invested in this crypto market back in 2014, 2015. And the great part about it is I'm sitting on just a mountain of cash. And I'm more than happy just to sit and be patient and just wait for the market to bottom. I'm not really in any big hurry. But at the same time, too, there are some great little trades out there. I mean, I'm constantly tweeting out, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. So if you are in a position to participate, I think there's some fantastic stories. You know, I mean, anybody who wants like a real-time story, go look at what that silly Waves did today. They're all going off the board. They're all going to zero, they said, right? It's all a scam, they said. Well, I can tell you right now, we actually, you know, when I wake up in the morning, and I absolutely love this, I wake up in the morning and I come into the TRI lounge, and there must have been about a half a dozen people that are like, woohoo, banging out doubles, Waves. And that just fills my heart. That's exactly what the whole reason why I do this is, to see these people succeed. So anyway, I'm dominating. I'm taking up too much of the conversation.
I just wanted to add to Brian, you know, you brought up kind of the PMA, positive mental attitude. You know, having kind of firsthand gone through a previous bear market and being doubtful, you know, and also launching a company during a bear market, which, you know, I never in a million years thought was a great idea. But kind of keeping that PMA was a big deal, and really you guys helped us through that a lot too, Brian, yourself, and Dav as well. You know, just keeping us going week after week doing the show really kind of helped me stay in tune to the markets and to our users and that kind of thing. So I definitely think it's great that we brought the show back, and looking forward to, continuing, and hopefully we can bring the same kind of positive attitude for other folks building their own products and services and that kind of thing as well. So
totally. I think really, we'll go through charts and, what do setups look like, blah, 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 blah. Everybody should understand they should be working with a trading plan, understand what type of risk taker you are, and that defines, what kind of setups you're going to be trading and how you're going to be trading the market. But really what I'm kind of finding, and it makes sense, is that the community is almost becoming cannibalistic down here in the bear. And I remember the same thing happened in 2014, 2015, into that year end. People are even saying like crypto Twitter is getting really salty and all that kind of talk, right? And if anything, what we should really be is a beacon of PMA, positive mental attitude. Go slowly. There's no hurry. Are you going to be a millionaire tomorrow? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But, if you apply yourself and you just keep working day after day, day in, day out, DAV is living proof that you can take a relatively nice amount of money and build it into a massive fortune. So I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'll let Dav talk about his own bank account. But the point here is I watched him do it, and he went slowly, day in, day out, just coming to work, doing your thing. I'm a trader. I keep reinvesting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was, and many, many people on the TRI site were the exact same as Dav, and it's just beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was poetry to see. It really was. But the point here is that the groundwork for that next bull market, when you are going to be banging out, Lambos, then the foundation for that is actually today.
Exactly.
So get your house in order today. Get the trading plan set up. Get your risk capital all aligned. And the great part about it is the market is actually, I would consider the market on sale now. That Thomas Lee guy, he's actually going, the market is wrong. I find it a bit amusing that, unfortunately, it's a sad commentary on why fundamental analysts get sort of chewed up in the market. I think Mr. Lee is completely spot on. The only problem is that, as we've seen, you guys have been in this space a few times, these venture capital, highly speculative assets are extremely volatile.
Yes.
And so as a result, you have to inject a little bit of timing into your purchases, and going in and buying Bitcoin at, anywhere north of, 15,000 was kind of asking for trouble. It's kind of a shame, but we got to learn the hard way. All right. Geez, I'm talking way too much. I'm sorry.
No, I'm loving every minute. I missed your voice, Brian.
Oh, cool. What I would love to hear is tell us a little bit about what's going on with Coinigy these days.
Sure. So we've been really heavily working on version 2 of the platform. Some of you guys have access to the beta. Anyone listening, if you want, shoot an email to our support and we can get you access to the beta. But basically, we've been redoing everything from the ground up. So that includes exchange integrations. We're about to be flipping the switch on the version 2 exchange integrations within the next week or two, most likely after the holidays, but it's going to be night and day versus our old code. Obviously, it's taken us quite a while to get to this point, as you know, but we're going to be pulling in your full history. It's going to be a lot more like you're trading directly on the exchange as opposed to where it is now. There's quite a big delay when you refresh your accounts and there's API issues and whatnot. We've built a lot of kind of fail safes in there and whatnot. So that's coming soon. In addition to that, on the beta, we have another feature called boards that's coming up pretty soon, which is basically like a widgetized dashboard. And we're kind of working with some third-party data providers on that. So you'll have kind of a full heads-up dashboard that pulls in blockchain metrics. You'll be able to throw those metrics onto the TradingView site or on the TradingView chart. Mobile app improvements, much needed mobile app improvements are on the way also. So we're definitely busy over here. No shortage of keeping our heads down and coding and whatnot. So
as our old co-host used to say, if anything, it's probably good that we have this developer cycle now to help us get all our act together. TRI, we made a huge leap onto the .com website. We used to be .co, but we just started the website up as a WordPress site. And then we brought in a professional code writer, and we made a huge leaps forward in our site functionality. So if anything, I think it's kind of good that we have this developer cycle, put that in quotes, right? So we can sort of get our act together. Maybe Dav, you could tell us a little bit about your project, the Pandora's Wallet.
Yeah, well, I have a company called DaVinci Codes, and we're producing a product called Pandora's Wallet. And I was looking forward to a slow growth through the bottoming cycle of Bitcoin. Not too many people coming in, so that I can really get the software off its feet. But man, I'm afraid that by telling people, hey, go here and check out Pandora's Wallet right now, it will collapse our servers. So you can do it right now. You can log in. You can actually try software out, but we're like putting out fires on the server side like crazy here. So, but this is a part of the process. I mean, I worked at several software companies, and it's always the same, right? You build software, especially client server type software, and you install it. You think everything's running great because you have it installed on the lab, and the lab's working perfect, so you're ready to go. And in the real world, that's totally different. So we will get through it, right? It's just one of those things. I've been through this before, and in time it'll be a better product. So if you want to wait, that's fine. But if you want to help us out by trying it out and pointing out some of our issues, we're glad to hear from anybody that's willing to help us out and learn and try out our software. So head over to pandoraswallet.com and download it if you want to.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds like an awesome idea. I know there's a lot of work been put into it, and actually I was talking to Rob about it when you mentioned it on one of your other videos, and we were like, wow, that's a pretty great idea. It's definitely a lot of if you're hosting wallets and whatnot for a bunch of different crypto, it's going to be painstaking, but it's going to be fun.
We're not hosting the wallets. Yeah, we're not hosting the wallets. We don't own your private keys. You own your private keys, and that's the key thing. And because of that, we have to code in different currencies and how they react when they build the transactions, and that's a lot of work.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a lot.
Right, yeah.
What's cool is I've been literally listening to Dav talk about this project for now, good couple years, eh?
Yes.
And it's awesome to watch you go step by step by step, because when we first started talking about it, it was sort of pie in the sky. And then I just watch you step by step grinding through the process. So hats off to you for being tenacious.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's what it takes, right? You got to keep going no matter what, right? And yeah, you're gonna fall through pitfalls, right, when you're building something new, and you just got to press forward.
Maybe we can for the crypto markets right now. I mean, keep that PMA, show up to work every day.
Well, and that's the key, right? Is are you actually producing value, right? Is there, if that's the sad part about the top of these bull runs, is a lot of guys came in here and just, it was fluff that they were promoting, right? Remember that? I think it was BitConnect, those guys.
No, oh my God, BitConnect.
Right. It was just nonsense. It was just absolute nonsense. The great part about it is a lot of that is gone now. And what I'm seeing in the space, the names that are flying they actually have a product. And that's the one thing that I caution our audience about. When you hear people say all altcoins are going to zero, I think that's a load of horse hockey. because I see the time and effort that people like. I've known the Waves people for quite a while, so it doesn't surprise me that they actually got a huge round of funding here recently. Syscoin is another great example. I mean, I've known those guys now for, geez, I guess about 4 or 5 years, and they are just working their butts off, you know, like Alex over at Ubic. You know, to say that their project is just going to zero is nonsense, because they're, you know, I mean, yeah, maybe they might have some setbacks, but these people are seriously dedicated to their endeavor. You know, on balance, and, you know, anybody who takes our education programs, you know full well, I'm not going to want you to be invested balls to the wall on any one name. But I definitely think, you know, and especially now, try and remember in the recession of 2001, 2002, Amazon.com went from like $120 a share down to $5 a share. Now, in this cycle, the silly stock went to well over $1,000 a share. So ironically enough, you know, if you do believe in a lot of these altcoins, you could even have bought, you know, the previous rallies. And if you just are an investor and you're like, I believe in these guys, right? Don't take too much risk on any one idea. You know, spread your money out. But if you invest and just stay the course, there's going to be a winner or two out of that will just astound you, kind of like, you know, Amazon did. And at the time, you know, the pictures of Jeff Bezos in his office, and they circulate around the net. You know, he was just some guy just working on his computer, running just an online bulletin board, you know, retail service. Who would have known that he would become, you know, one of the richest men in the world? So I don't see any reason why the crypto space would be any different. And I really don't like this whole conversation about all altcoins are going to zero and Bitcoin's the only thing that's going to be left around. I think that's just nonsense.
You know, people have been saying that since day one. I mean, I remember when we started adding alts to Coinigy. I mean, we got hated on left and right, basically.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, Coinigy is adding shit coins. That's pointless. And then go figure, a year and a half later, everybody's trading shit coins. So,
it's you know, I think on balance,
everybody has their opinion. So
through this cycle trough, maybe we as a community can lose that expression, shit coins. I don't think that does the community any justice. And, you know, like the 50, 60, 70-year-old politicians that go on YouTube and they want to learn about cryptocurrencies, and the only shows that they see is a show called Shitcoin Talk. I mean, how on earth are they supposed to take that seriously?
That is true. Well, I hereby redact the term shitcoin. We can bleep me.
Well, no, I mean, you know, I don't think Coinigy talks that way. The entire time that I've known Coinigy, you have been incredibly professional in everything that you do in this space. So, you know, and the irony of it all is that even those shows, they actually have some good content. They have good conversations. But maybe we just, as a request from good old Uncle Brian, could we maybe lose that expression? You know, if anything, the higher ups, you know, the irony of crypto is that what I've heard over the past 4 or 5 years is everybody has been like, we want mass adoption, we want acceptance, we want to be part of it. Well, you got it. Mm-hmm. You are now part of the system. Welcome aboard. These guys in these political centers are taking you very seriously. And, you know, I like the idea of the higher ups coming in and saying, you know, these ICOs, this was nonsense. Give the money back plus interest. Quit scamming these people. We get rid of that nonsense. Mm-hmm. And I think that's healthy. And it's showing a space that's maturing. But I don't think it's fair to a lot of the people that put in countless hours into this, you know, and building out this space and building out the idea of cryptocurrencies. I really don't think it does them any justice, us continuing this term shitcoins.
So let's come up with a new name right now, like junk bonds, but junk coins, or
I don't know. See, the problem is I just put it out as a request. Now, unfortunately, what I'm probably going to see happen is I'm going to get a whole ton of negative feedback from making this statement.
Shitcoin this, shitcoin that.
Right. But just consider it just a request from Uncle Brian. Could we maybe move away from that term, please?
Somebody suggested in the chat that we call them shiny coins.
Okay,
yeah, there we go.
Shiny coins.
You know,
Shiny
like
coins.
on our site, one of our regular contributors on our daily site video, he calls them Schalt coins.
Okay, that's a half measure there. That's cool.
Yeah, but if we want to be taken seriously by the higher ups, let's lose the actual blatant swearing in the name of the actual asset. Anyway, I don't know. That request will probably fall on deaf ears, but oh.
But you need reach only goes so far, so
we need something new. That's all, because like people do want to hear something different, right? A lot of people in my group of circle of people that I'm helping, they don't want to hear shit coins. They want to hear something different. But
good.
You know, we need a new name for them. That's all. That sounds catchy and gives people a pause to not, invest in those coins at the same time so easily. Like with a lot of people ask me, hey, can I put all my money on this one coin? I'm like,
say no, that's somebody else's second tier cryptos.
Yeah.
No, that's a second crypto.
Second tier. Yeah, I like that. Second tier.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Like that.
I mean, the irony of it all is that there's a big difference between buying a crappy asset that is a total scam, BitConnect, that kind of stuff, and poorly timing your purchase, where you're coming in and you're buying an asset that's already had a massive run up. And yeah, you're going to lose money because you just really didn't time your purchase very well. I think there's a big difference between those two.
Yep.
At the same time, too, I fully understand. And if anything, maybe, and this is actually a really interesting time for crypto, because crypto has really only been alive in a post-recessionary environment. I believe we are actually heading into a recessionary environment. So over the next year or two, we're going to really get to know how crypto acts when things like the Fed is taking away the punch bowl. And, Joe Sixpack is actually getting laid off and doesn't have any money. And I think that we're going to see a lot of the names that, shitcoin, those names are probably going to disappear. But
second-tier assets.
Second-tier
coins.
Well, if we can move into the space like the Ubiq people who are working their butts off, the Sys people, the Waves people, the Ethereum, we could go through a whole list of these that are relatively respectable names. And actually, it would be kind of cool if we could get Jesse in here, because he's got a whole litany of names that he really likes.
Yeah, he was having some issues joining, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But
yeah, we'll try another day. But the point here is that there are a lot of really good people, and there are a lot of really good names in this space, and we're going to find out sort of who is really in this for the technology, who's in this to build a better mousetrap over the coming years, because crypto is going to have to face what does a recession actually look like. So it's going to be a really interesting time over the next couple of years. And like I said earlier, what I hope is we actually see this space evolve out of the sort of the vernacular and into actual, adults playing the game, if you will. All right, so I don't know. Do we want to get into looking at some charts?
Yes, look some charts. Yeah.
Okay. I don't. We could do just a simple overview of good old Bitcoin. It's probably not a bad idea. You probably haven't seen this in a while if you aren't a regular participant of TRI, but I'm a really big fan of using fibs to sort of keep me honest and try and prevent me from chasing uppy markets. And I think actually the fib tutorials, it's actually quite remarkable even now, Will.
Yeah,
so many people come to me and say, well, I learned about you from the Coinigy fib tutorial. It's quite remarkable.
We're still sending those out. So
I mean, it's
the TRI intro to fibs and a couple of the other ones.
Yeah. So it's really cool. But so anybody who's used Coinigy and stuff over the past years, and of course worked with TRI, and keep in mind, fibs are very popular in the trading community. We don't necessarily need to go into the mechanics of the fibs, but I really like. I used to work with a crude oil trader who just used to own the market trading 61.8 fib retracements. And I often put this little M on the charts, good old mountain man. So that's sort of the top of where I can start thinking about buying into assets. And then I really like this 78.6. I often call it the line in the sand. And actually, if we look at the previous crypto bull cycle, the Bitcoin bull cycle, you can actually see how the market dipped below the 78.6, but then put in a hell of a fight off of that level. And I often see that happen where the market might lose this level, but ultimately it actually, you look back in hindsight and you go, holy crap, I wish I had bought that level. And it often, when you look back, you go, oh, gee whiz, it's 78.6.
Yep, and that's so worth mentioning too. I mean, we lived through this. We were doing shows during this period, you know.
Yeah, we were, weren't we?
Don't think that it can't happen again. I'm not promising it will happen again, but
well, you know, the irony of it all is if we go back to the last cycle, right, and you do the same old fibs, right, and gee whiz, there's that reload zone. So, and actually, that's what I like to call this is the area between 61.8 and 78.6. Is if you're going to be like an institutional player, this is a handy tool that if you just respect these levels and say, look, I'm not going to chase this up market. If I'm going to buy, I got to wait till it comes back down into this zone. A lot of institutional players, you know, and like I said, when I used to trade on the crude oil desks over at the prop firm, you know, they basically live by this. And what we also find out too, 78.6, a lot of harmonic levels also set up off of this level. So I really like it as a reference point. So long and short of it here, 61.8, which is a pretty important number to mathematicians anyway, and 1.618, right? That's the golden ratio. But 6.618 to 7.786, I like to call it the reload zone. And it's sort of where I can start thinking about, all right, if I really did want to invest in this asset, where is the level at which I can actually start thinking about being a buyer? And, you know, this is a great example. This is going back to the Silk Road bottom. You know, one might argue very simply put that if you had just said, okay, look, I'm not going to chase this up market. I'm just going to simply force myself that when it comes down into this zone, I'm going to just start nibbling away. You guys have probably heard about my nanny nibble strategy from the previous cycle. That, you know, you tell me in hindsight, that was pretty hell of a good area to be a buyer. Of course, this is all predicated on the asset being in a bull market. But you can see how it worked very nicely here. And then the next cycle, it worked here. And ultimately, we are right back into that kind of environment again. We do see quite often, and actually we have one site member, Ian, love him to death, great guy. Irish, so don't get on his bad side or he'll pick a fight with you in 2 minutes. Love you, Ian. Don't get mad at me. Them's fighting words. But anyway, he absolutely loves the 88.6. And we like to call this the leprechaun level. And, you know, there's a long explanation behind that. But think of leprechaun, right? Irish, all that. So we often see that the market will dip. And I suppose we could make the same argument from the last cycle. You see that 88.6. That might have actually even corresponded nicely with that $150 low that we saw in there. So you do often see the market dip back against 88.6, but I personally love the line in the sand. 78.6 is sort of my framework of, if this is a bull, where's the fight likely to occur? But what I've basically been telling my audience, and anytime I talk in the public, is, this move up through here, buying through here, was just asking for trouble. I did find it interesting that back in sort of last March, they dipped the market back against Mountain Man, and it just jackknifed out of there. You could have bought, and if you did buy some, maybe you let some go on this rally, here nor there. If you're like an investor in Bitcoins and you just want to start accumulating a position, maybe you let some go on this rally. That's interesting. I'm hearing echo.
Yeah, that was my bad.
Okay. The point here is that if you just put yourself on a dollar cost averaging plan, we typically say that an average bear market is 18 months in duration. That's very normal for bears. And of course, if we look at the last cycle, it was about that 18 months from beginning to end.
You should explain what a dollar cost averaging plan is, because some people don't understand what that is.
So in essence, you want to be invested in Bitcoin, right? Or whatever coin that you're interested in. Don't put too much of your stake into any one play. Everybody should understand that, right? But if you wanted to be invested in an asset and you're like, Brian, I don't have time to sit in front of a computer screen 24/7 and wait for the little squiggles and the giggles and all that to time my purchases. I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, whatever. I got to live a life. But at the same time, too, I really want to be invested in this name. You just simply try and pull up a chart and throw on a fib, throw on your reload zone, as we just talked about. And the dollar cost averaging approach just simply says, once a month or once every couple months, I'm just going to go into the market and I'm going to buy a little bit. If you want to, let's say I wanted to invest $10,000 into Bitcoin, just an arbitrary number. I'm going to take, maybe like 5% of that 10,000, or basically like $500. And once a month or once every couple months, I'm just going to go and buy, and I'm going to force myself to only buy when we are either at or below the reload zone. So literally dollar cost averaging would have you buy maybe a little bit here, 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 a little bit here. I mean, it's going to take a while to do 20 purchases. And really the irony of dollar cost averaging, the reason why I love it so much, is you are actually rooting for the price to go down. Because the further the price goes down, the more Bitcoins you can buy with that little $500 purchase. So in a weird sort of way, the dollar cost averagers, I got a couple guys on the site and they're like, yeah, let's see lower prices, because then that way next month's purchase, I can buy more Bitcoins with my money. So I don't know, Dav, is that a half decent explanation of dollar cost?
Yes, that is perfect explanation. Okay. I always tell everybody to do that myself, because when they don't want to look at charts and when they want in, that's the perfect way to go.
Totally. And it works on all assets. Doesn't really matter. The key here is you have to force yourself that if we're above this mountain man level, you can't touch it. And you're only allowed to buy when it's at or below the reload zone. Now, my hunch is, for whatever it's worth, and I put out lots of tweets and videos and stuff to this effect, I still think we're sort of in this phase right in here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still another, nasty sort of FU move to go here to get us down to that 88.6. So there's no hurry here, people. There really isn't. There's no hurry whatsoever. We talked about typical bear markets, 18 months in duration. I don't expect to see, people talking about Lambos and all that kind of stuff over this window. And this takes us out into basically next summer. I do love the idea of just slowly accumulating positions. And if anything, like I said just a moment ago, you're actually rooting for lower prices. Now, interestingly enough, here is 88.6. And you can see that that sets up basically about $2,000, $2,200, $2,300. What I find really interesting about this right now is I watched a really cool interview the other day, and I can't remember who the gentleman was, but I think they have a really, he has a really big following on YouTube, and I think he's fairly popular, but he made friends with a gentleman on Bloomberg who's sort of been following the Bitcoin story. And the gentleman interviewed, I thought was really interesting. And it sort of reminded me of something from my commodities trading days that I'd sort of forgotten. So thank you, Mr. Bloomberg, for reminding me. But quite often these assets love to return to the mean. And what do you mean by mean? Really, all this is Stamp has been on this, listed here in trading since this bar right here. And as you can see, I've just thrown up, this is a weekly chart, and I've just thrown up I tried to do the moving average to try and capture all of the data. So I'd have here a 325 bar moving average of the weekly chart.
That's that thicker line there?
Yeah, well, I've circled it right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just simply highlights what is sort of the mean price of this asset given its entire history. And I thought it was interesting that he was very interested in this level. And I got to agree, that's not a bad level to think about. As well, too, we like to teach people on the site that as we're sort of moving lower on an asset's price, lower highs and lower lows, your job as a technician is to look left. So, let's see if I can just get rid of some of this gobbledygook on here so it doesn't be too confusing.
While you're doing that, I wanted to mention, too, that we kind of on Coinigy's we noticed Bloomberg has gone full negative on crypto in the last week or so. It's been really interesting. Just a lot of hit pieces, a lot of just, I guess you could call them uneducated pieces, the usual crypto has no value, yada, yada.
Oh, I love hearing that. But
if anything, yeah, exactly. So, and here's the thing, right, is, considering how close we are to this mean level, and as I said just a moment ago, look left, we're coming into some actually really important pivots. And it's interesting because this is the area where Goldman Sachs actually told their client base to buy Bitcoins last cycle. And I remember in our lounge, right, they came out with this $2,000, $3,000 is the floor on Bitcoin. And that's kind of what prompted this nutso rally. And I remember we had one gentleman who was a relative of the analyst at Goldman Sachs. And he used to come on the site during our daily briefs and say, okay, this is what she's saying. These are the levels. She was a big Elliott wave girl. So she was talking all about wave counts and stuff like that. But I find it interesting if we look left, this is actually, we had a really important level. That was at and I can't remember what his name is, but the CFTC guy. We had a key look left kind of pivot off of this 6,000 area. You can see the very railroad tracksy low here. And so it makes sense, look left, that as price is screaming down here, that we're going to run into some support off of this key low right here. And that's exactly what happened there. And because this was such a powerful pivot, it actually took a number of stabs at it to actually break through. Well, I might make the argument that if we look left, the next key pivot is this high here, which is 2967. Hey, Jesse Couch made it. Oh, look at that. And he's in a suit. No wonder you didn't get here. The guy's been standing in front of the mirror trying to look pretty.
What's up, Jesse? Welcome.
Jesse made it. Anyway, I'll put my analysis on hold. I just saw that he joined us. So how you doing, Jesse?
Oh, it looks like you might be having an audio issue there where we can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
I guess you can hear us. Oh, Jesse. You're such a handsome guy, too. He's the only guy who put on a suit and tie to do this. So maybe why don't you disconnect and reconnect? Sometimes Hangouts do this. And yell at us. And then if we hear you, then we'll know that you're good to go. Okay? Yeah, we can't hear you, dude. So you're going to have to.
Nothing.
And sometimes Hangouts do this I've had a lot of people that join and their audio doesn't work. So maybe just pop out and pop back in. All right. So just to finish this thought while we're waiting for Jesse to pop back in, we're coming finally into a key traffic area. And we've got this really cool railroad tracks low. We have the mean. Remember we talked about that? That's sitting at about $1,900. Actually on this here, it's sitting about 2,000. But that Bloomberg analyst, he looked at the entire data set for Bitcoin, and I think his mean number is about 1,900. And then also too interesting, if we do a high to low trend line here, you can actually see that that sort of corresponds with that mean number as well. So I think we're coming into an interesting support level. And if Bitcoin is still a bull, right, just as we sort of had through this, what we should see happen is some sort of capitulation dump, right? And if anything, do you remember this event here? Do you remember who it was that capitulated? I think his name was Mike Hearn. Do you remember Mike Hearn?
Oh yes, when he rage quit.
Yeah, put 30,000 coins up for sale. That's it. I hate this thing. Get me the fuck out. That kind of stuff. And that was a classic hallmark of a bottom. I did hear that the guy, that Nautilus coin guy, who still, if you're watching this, Mr. Nautilus coin, I want my fucking money back. I won't mention his name, but anybody who's been in the space long enough knows exactly who I'm talking about. He's sort of capitulated recently, but actually the people on the site that really looked into his comment, he kind of backtracked. He's kind of like, okay, well, no, I'm still got some long exposure, blah, 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 blah. So I don't think that was enough of a capitulation. What we really need is some major public figure to come out and just say, that's it, I quit, I'm done, get me the hell out, I never want to buy another one of these things again. What does that look like? I don't know. But my hunch is that's what sort of needs to happen here over maybe the next 2 or 3 months to actually mark, quote unquote, the bottom. I do like, there's a bunch of, like I had said a moment ago, and actually I even asked Mr. McAfee today.
Oh, you're tweeting at McAfee now?
Well, I specifically asked him, number one, he had publicly said that his cost of production for Bitcoin a year and a half ago was $1,000 a coin. Is that still the case? Never heard back from him. I also, in the same tweet, asked him if he was going to make good on his penis eating comment. Haven't heard anything back from him.
On that note, I saw an article recently. Well, first of all, there's been a bunch of FUD with regards to the mining stuff. People tweeting videos of miners being thrown out in China.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
But then it turns out that may have been earlier footage that was the result of a flood. There's all this stuff going on. And then I just saw an article, I think in Newsweek, actually, where the headline was, Bitcoin reaches a new low to something like mining is no longer worth it, something like that.
Yeah, I've seen a number of those.
And that sounds a little fuddy to me. I don't know. But and this has been my statement to our community all along here. What is the average cost of production? And when we were up here in like 6,000 area, I had people blatantly say, no, Brian, 6,000 is the cost of production, and absolutely it won't go through that level. And of course, I never believed that. I don't know. And of course, is it in anybody's best interest to publicly come out and say my cost of production is this? Absolutely. That's why I don't think it's in their best interest. And you have guys running off of geothermal out in Iceland. It's costing next to nothing.
Right.
Even if they're on a larger nanometer miner, they're still making something off of that. Basically out of nothing,
on balance, I like to use Mr. McAfee because at least he was public, and I think he was being a little arrogant, and he probably shouldn't have said that. But I do like the fact that he actually came out with that number. I also saw on Twitter there's a whole bunch of guys that were tweeting out that their cost of production was around $2,500 or something along those lines. Which today? That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I saw those tweets. So the point of the matter here is that's starting to align with these. And what it's really interesting, I noticed, was a lot of people said, no, the cost of production is much higher because the hash rate and the difficulty rate was so high. But you notice that now that's coming down, right?
Yeah, it's a self-regulating entity. I mean,
exactly.
It takes time to catch up, but it's self-regulating at a certain point. So
yeah, I made the argument to our community. We will know that we are actually below an acceptable level when we actually start hearing conversations about 51% attacks on Bitcoin. That's when I think that the price is just too low and we're going to have to get more public participation in this market. And what's interesting is, you know, through this event, we saw those kind of conversations down in here. I remember distinctly, this is when the 51% attack conversations started.
Yeah, was that kind of when the group of miners decided to disband the giant pools and whatnot?
I can't remember the specifics around it, but I do remember that there was a lot of debate. You know, those that had their electricity costs subsidized, that was around $150 a coin. Those people that had to pay for electricity, their cost was around $300 a coin. And so to me, it sort of made sense why the price sort of was banging around in this area. Actually, it'd be really interesting just for historical perspective to have those kind of information handy. So Will, if you happen to have that kind of information that, you know, links from news articles and stuff from back then, I'd love to get that kind of stuff for our
I'll see what I can dig up. I should do a little bit more prep for the show maybe.
No, dude, you're awesome. So anyway, the point of the matter here is that we're no longer in nosebleedy territory. We've actually come down to reload zones and even beyond reload zone. And that's fantastic. We love that. Jesse, there he is.
This time.
Hey!
Hey, was that too loud for you guys?
No way, man. You're awesome.
All right. I can turn it down. Yeah. Sorry for being late. I'm here for the last 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Have we been talking for an hour here? Holy jeez.
Apparently, yeah. We usually go about an hour and a half. So
okay. Well, that's good.
So we're happy to have you on the show, Jesse Couch. Sorry about those Cryptopia Ethereum markets, by the way, from the Coinigy side. I know you were pissed about that back in the day.
Well, now Cryptopia delisted a bunch of coins too.
Yeah. Well,
even more irritating.
You can't list them all, man. You can't list them all. Yeah. Okay, anyways, glad to have you. Always wanted to kind of speak to you personally. I remember seeing you on the old Block Talks and whatnot. So
yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to meet all you guys.
Hey, you look very sharp. Yeah, and actually, I wanted to pick your brain because I remember a couple ideas that you've been kicking around here. And that was sort of the theme that I had earlier in the broadcast is I really want to hear from you guys fundamentally what stories you guys are really interested in. Yeah, I got you. I'm just going to sort of finish up my conversation here about Bitcoin. Give me maybe like another 5 minutes or so. And then
it going down? Is that the...
Well, you know, what's the trend? Of course, the trend is down.
The one thing I'll say, though, is if it does go down lower, it's probably not going to stay there that very long, you know?
Yeah, well, and I'd love to get your input. So by all means, let me just sort of finish this thought, and then we'll turn you loose. So as I just said a moment ago, we are now at the point where we are at or below reload zones. All the dollar cost averagers, you have permission to start nibbling away. What I really do like, and this is a weekly chart too, is my price oscillator has now finally gotten to the point where it is what I like to affectionately call stupidly oversold. So, you know, obviously, easily, this is way too late to sell. And it's interesting how Will and Dav, you were saying earlier that basically the major media outlets are now getting bearish of Bitcoin. How classic, eh? We've actually come into the 4 year period moving average, which I like to call the business cycle moving average. And I would actually make the argument that if you actually invested in this, think 3 to 5 year time horizon, that's a very typical investing window that Wall Street likes to tout. That 3 to 5 years from now, the cost of production for Bitcoin is going to be higher than these current levels. So you can actually make the argument that fundamentally we are actually getting into the area where justifiably within a few years, the actual payout to miners is going to be, you know, for them to stay in business is going to have to be higher than these prices. So put it all together, the market's oversold on a weekly basis. We are definitely at or below buying zones. And interestingly enough, you can actually start to see divergence start to build in that our momentum oscillator here, the MACD histogram, we are making new lows in price, but we're not making new lows in the MACD histogram.
So that would be 3 indicators so far.
Well, what we have is location. We have, I hear quite a bit of an echo, so I'm not quite sure if maybe we need to turn down or mute. But
we got a little bit of a party in the studio right now.
Oh, okay.
There's 5 other people here, 6 other people.
Oh, right on. What I want to see is I want to see the divergence confirm, but usually to get that divergence to confirm, we actually have to have a pretty substantial rally to actually like kickstart this thing. I don't know whether it can come in here yet. I'm still a bit leery. You know, indulge me here, Will, if you can. I'm just going to pop over and show you guys this chart. I still think that we're in sort of that hangover phase. And what does the end of the hangover look like? I actually did it. Pardon me?
It's only a 1-week candle, I noticed too.
Right. I mean, it's still very early in sort of our bottoming process. If I zoom that in, what's really interesting is this panic low was 50% discount, but that 2014, early 2015 panic low was actually off 60% from, and this just happens to be an arbitrary date, October 21st, that I picked to do this study. And I just wonder, looking at the comparison, whether we're sort of in this phase, we got maybe one more dump to go here. And then also, too, let's remember what's going on in the adults world. The Federal Reserve has basically raised interest rates again. So, you know, this candle started out as a very big, strong green candle and actually turned into a shooting star. So, you know, the fact that we just made a new low, we had a dead cat bounce off of the low, and now we've run into a shooting star. At the very least, we should expect a test of these lows. But I'm thinking there needs to be one more dump. And maybe by me saying there needs to be one more dump, maybe the market will say, okay, no, we won't dump. And that's fine by me.
Well, you do have influence, Brian.
Well, and quite often what happens in this space is that somebody will publicly come out and say something. And because they said that, the market will not do that. So if anything, you know, I'm going to go on record and saying I still think there needs to be one more dump, and hopefully that one more dump doesn't come in. But my hunch is probably one more to go. But anyway.
Well, Ellie Waves theory says that, yeah, there should be one more dump. If you look at from the Ellie Wave theory.
That's cool. So location, I'm getting pretty happy. You know, 3,000, could we work our way down to maybe 1,500, 2,000 in here in some sort of panic? That last dump, it knocked 50% off of the price in like one day. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what that capitulation dump has to look like. Get that dump, then what we need to see, kind of like that last cycle, is the monster counter trend rally right off of the dump. Notice that this didn't last very long. If we take this back down to a daily chart, you can see this is incredibly violent. But basically, once that dump was in, the market basically didn't look back, right? Let's see if I can move this over. Where are you?
Oh boy, I can't wait for the news articles when that dump happens.
Right, and the sad thing is there's gonna be some really nasty ugliness, right? And you can see how nasty this dump was. That's just 2 days, bang bang. And then, like we said earlier, Mr. Hearn or obviously it's not going to be him again, but some sort of public figure is going to come out and say, that's it. Bitcoin's a piece of shit. I'm out of here. Get me out. I'm done. And I would argue that that's probably the event that marks the bottom. And it's this kind of violent rally off of the lows that actually fires that divergence. And then once that's sort of in, then we can go into the phase, in my opinion, of consolidating and setting the base for the next rally. And just to finish off this thought, why would I expect to see this market do this? And I actually asked Will, and I thought it was interesting. Why did this rally occur? There was a couple things. Number one, there was a U.S. government auction of seized Silk Road coins. But also, too, and this is what I think is more of a driver, is that this bottom actually was put in as Litecoin went into its halvening process. And do you guys remember when Litecoin last halved, there was a guy in China that was running a Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
And they ran that price up dramatically. And so my hunch is it's actually that Litecoin halvening that actually starts the process of everything bottoming. So Litecoin goes through its halvening. That sort of solidifies the base. We now have a fundamental reason to start looking at these things from the long side again. And then, of course, Bitcoin goes into its halvening cycle.
Right. And we're not necessarily talking Litecoin at this point. It might be some other asset, that has significant market share like Ethereum or something like that, right?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if. Oh, yeah, totally. I totally think it is. Absolutely. But, they always say you can't write better fiction than reality. Who knows what the hell the damn story will be? But my hunch is we got to get back into that phase where people are thinking about halvenings. And so miners are thinking about what their payout is and is the price too low and all that. And we have to sort of change the message. Right now, the message is still, we're getting destroyed from the top, right? And we have to sort of change that message. Kind of like what Dav was saying earlier about we have to move away from the SHIT coin expression, and we have to move into a new paradigm where we're thinking about these assets differently. Right now, we're still stuck in that, oh man, I'm so wrecked kind of conversation. And the only way that actually stops is if we put in some sort of capitulation and then go sideways for a while. All right, that sort of hits the.
And if I can chime in again, someone in chat just said Brian Kelly is the new Mike Hearn. So maybe we're going to see like a live rage quit on CNBC and that'll trigger it.
Could be. Nice. Could be. But as I said the other day, or I said just earlier, he didn't quite quit the way I wanted him to. I mean, if anything, we want, rage, and we don't want him covering his butt. We just want him saying, that's it, I quit, I'm never going to buy another one of these things again, right? That kind of talk. So I don't know whether it'll be him.
I've actually noticed that a bit with the altcoins. A lot of altcoiners going back to being Bitcoin maximalists.
Yeah, they've given up on the alts. Yeah, we've sort of talked about that earlier. I think that's an incredible disservice to a lot of the time and effort that people have put into the space. But, All right, Jesse.
I'm not giving up on the alts. That's for sure.
No, and that's why I wanted you on this show, is because I want to hear, what kind of alts are you interested in these days? So I'll shut up now. And Jesse, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what's interesting you in the space these days.
MGO, that's one I was looking at earlier. It's actually been going up this year. One of the rare altcoins that's been going up, if you want to look at that chart for a second.
M is in Michael, G is in George, and O is in Oscar. And where do you like to look at this thing? Cryptopia?
It's probably one of the lower ones. If we can go to Jay, can you go full screen on my computer?
All right, you're over on Coin Market Cap. You still like using this site, eh?
It gives the good info, I know where it is. So
all right.
If you want to see the top market, you just click here.
Yeah.
And then you go to market. So IDAX is bringing the most volume, DigiFinex, BitForex, ETHFinex.
Wow,
Cryptopia is only bringing in about $1,000 of volume. So there's not.
Wow, so it's traded heavily on decentral exchanges. Nice.
That's what all those are. IDAX, DigiFinix, Bitforex. Those are all decentralized exchanges.
This one's a USD Tether market.
Ah.
Doing 2.5 million.
Wow. Me.
So, and Jesse, in your opinion, are people moving away from the classic exchange-based trading?
I would hope so, but you know, it just makes it so much easier to do the centralized exchanges. Lower fees, you know, there's not enough fees are too high really to do DEXs, so you can't really have them.
Yeah, and I wanted to add too, from the Coinigy side, we're looking into adding just a bunch of decentralized exchanges, so that should be happening soon.
Wow.
We've had calls with quite a few of them. We're just backlogged right now. So
the ones that interest me the most are probably the ones that go with the blockchain to blockchain communication. So instead of just tokens being traded on the Ethereum network, you now get all the Ethereums now trading in between each other. Now all those tokens can interact with each other in between the different blockchains.
Yeah, I can see how that works, right? The decentralized exchange for Ethereum and their tokens. But I wonder how they get the decentralized exchange working with across Bitcoin type cryptocurrencies, right? I mean, I've looked at atomic swaps, but that's not a reality.
It's extremely complicated. That's all I can say. We've been talking with there's these great guys. They're called Total, TOTLE, and they've been kind of working on, you know, wrapping a lot of these different decentralized exchanges into an API. The biggest issue for us is kind of consuming that data, because everything is just all over the place. You know, with traditional, I guess you could call them, you know, traditional centralized exchanges, you have, you know, an order book and you have a list of historical trades. But with a lot of the decentralized stuff, sometimes you can't even figure out what the last price was. You have to wait for things to settle and vice versa. So that's the big hang up right now
to get the pricing. But this MGO, I really like it because it started to, as Bitcoin goes down, I think the alts, some of them will just have had enough pain and they can't go down any further. And so the only thing to happen is start going up against Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was trading Doge, and I even put out a tweet saying, I can't believe I'm running out of Bitcoin and into Doge for safety. What the heck is going on in this world? But I gotta tell you,
a story about Doge. I sold Doge at 100, and a dog bit me for the first time in my life.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I made some good money. It was a beautiful little double bottom there. And literally, as Bitcoin's been melting down here recently, Doge just gave me a nice winner here.
Doge back up.
Got to be happy about that. So I can understand your logic, Jesse. Me personally, I'm a little bit leery about the decentralized exchanges. But if anything, it makes a lot of sense to me that sort of Big Brother and SEC and all that kind of stuff, they're coming down hard on these centralized exchanges. And I don't think what Big Brother just doesn't realize that crypto space isn't going to just stay flat-footed. They're gonna, you know, like we all remember Cabbage, right? So Cabbage characters are going to try and figure out a way around this. And I think their solution is the decentralized exchange route. Well, we'll see what happens.
Well, that's what I like about crypto. It will change whenever the government comes after it. The worst thing could happen to crypto is the government support it. That would be the absolute worst, because then there would be no reason to like improve to prevent the government from doing their dirt, right? So then they're going to, obviously, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is going to stay not going to improve to prevent crazy government action. So that's I hope the government continues attacking crypto, basically.
So what would be the story? This is called Mobile Go. Like, what do these guys do that makes them so special, Jesse?
They do something with video games.
Ah, okay.
So that sounds pretty good to me.
Alrighty then.
All right, so
do we need more fundamentals?
Well, like I started out this conversation today with, okay, a lot of the fluff has been wiped out of the market. So the question is, why would I be investing in your idea? What is the fundamental? What is the story that's going to drive this thing going forward? Having said that, you came in a little bit late, so I apologize. You probably didn't expect me to grill you on.
Yeah, we're kind of throwing you on the spot.
Well, I actually buy coins for some pretty strange reasons. Like I just go to the website and look at how good quality it looks to my eyes.
Yeah.
And this one I can see is like some little dots moving around. So they got like some 3D stuff.
That's your fundamental analysis?
Well, I go by the theory that if you can't build a good website, you can't build a good DApp.
Yeah, that should be the first qualifier, not the only qualifier, but at least
that's how I weed out the garbage after about 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I remember we used to in stock promotion, right? We'd always say, okay, what does the website look like? In fact, we used to go to road shows, right, where companies would come out and give their pitch. Okay, buy our stock, buy our stock. And we used to always say, you could always judge the quality of an issue, whether it was going to fly based on the food that they served at the road shows. So, if they were serving steak and lobster and shrimp, you knew this thing was just going to go crazy. If they were serving bologna sandwiches, it probably wasn't going to do much. So in a weird sort of way, I can understand the logic. The website's got to look good, and it's got to be a solid presentation.
I know this game. Have you heard of Agario? They have over 500 games that I guess they have access into somehow.
Right on. Are they like the internal currency of the game?
I doubt that. That's the dream.
Okay.
I don't know if many.
I remember the Bard's Tale. That's a video game that went back forever. Do you remember that, Will?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, same here. I used to play that game.
Gotta watch out what people post on their website. Not the most accurate. I like to click on the roadmap too, see what the plan is till March. They have plans until March 2019.
Well, that's encouraging. They got a 6-month business plan. Right on. That's all good. I mean, I like Jesse's take on these. Remember what was that one? Remember we were at Dogecoin together and you were really jazzed about one particular name. What the hell was that thing?
Well, that was actually pretty disappointing. That was one of my big losers of the year.
Oh, shitty. All right. Wasn't it?
R-Chain.
R-Chain.
You want to look at a case of tails and wicks like to be eaten?
Uh-oh.
Check out KuCoin on the Coinigy site. KuCoin for rock.
What's the symbol?
RHOC.
RHOC. And it's is KuCoin like Korean or something?
Yeah, South Korean.
Yeah. All right.
So there should be way down at the very beginning that goes down to about 2 cents.
Wow.
Okay.
What's up with that? I wonder if that's just an API misfire or what. We'll have to look at that. Do you know if they show that on KuCoin's site, Jesse?
I know on KuCoin's site, this coin is full of gaps all the way up to about 20, 40 cents. So.
That's pretty typical.
So I'd be interested, Jesse. Are you still interested in this name? Would you actually go and buy any of this here?
This is one of the ones I know more fundamentals about. So the thing I like about this is when I'm diversifying into coins, I like to get niches with the smallest amount of coins.
Yeah.
As far as I know, this is the only well-known co-op in the crypto space that's working on a blockchain. Okay. So their goal is next-gen blockchain that scales, contracts done, smart contracting, new smart contracting language that apparently is going to be better than the current languages.
All right. And I guess my question is, did you just dump your holdings or are you just going to sit tight and just ride it out?
For another long time.
Okay. That's cool. I suppose we call that bag holding, right, in this space?
Big time bag holding on this one. This is sometimes I get a bit too scared to take profits because the names are too good. Like Bitcoin, you could never sell all your Bitcoin.
Sure. Okay. I hope. I mean, I hope you pay yourself a little bit. And it's always, good practice.
Well, the ethos in here is half on a double. So,
well,
exactly.
I always think it's good to sell half on a double just to get your original capital back in your hands. Once you're in that risk-free trade, I don't really care what you do with the rest of it, but really good idea just to get into that risk-free trade as quickly as possible.
You should go gap hunting on this rock one.
We have one guy on the site, Joshua, and we call him affectionately our crypto gap hunter. But actually, looking at this chart, it actually doesn't look too bad. It actually looks pretty clean. So I don't know. But anyway,
but volume's coming out of this coin like crazy.
No, I'm not saying I don't necessarily have any buy signal here. I didn't say that, but Jesse just said gaps, and actually I don't see any gaps to be filled in.
I think you gotta go higher than that.
You're on a daily as well. So
there's one up there. So at some point down the road, I like that to be filled in. So what number is that? That's 8,700. Oh, there's another one right up there. So what's that? That's like 12,000. So, those work as nice levels going forward if these guys can get their act together. Oh, I kind of like that too. Because, if the reload zone concept works in the opposite as well. So you can see if we just measure this range, assuming that this is the bottom, we don't know. There's the original market structure failure level and good old Mountain Man sitting there. And these gaps, interesting how that's 38.2. So that's probably going to act as like short-term resistance. And interesting enough, there's that mean study again. So interesting how that's on there as well. All right. But I think what you said was the fundamentals on this are kind of iffy.
The fundamentals on our chain? No, this is a co-op.
So you like the fundamentals here?
So I like the fundamentals here because you get the DAOs, the DAOs.
Yep.
And they're there. They can be illegal and stuff. Well, maybe can be illegal. The co-op, they do KYC on their members, and so.
Would you go over to Korea? Is this a Korean exchange, KuCoin?
Yeah, KuCoin. I use KuCoin.
Do you have an exchange or an account over there?
An account at KuCoin, yeah. KuCoin is one of my top 5 exchanges for altcoin trading.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
They do they've also added some bad coins, but I noticed at first they were adding quite a few higher quality coins.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then the other name that you had, so actually that's 2 names. Thank you, sir. I totally appreciate that. So RHOC, and what was the other one? MGO?
The final thing about RChain 2 is each week they do a video recap sort of like this, where any of the members who want to be more public can come discuss ideas and such. And
really? Do you go to their website or something and listen, or is it on YouTube or something?
YouTube. They got a YouTube channel to check out too.
Cool. And, has the community been pretty salty as we've been working our way down here?
Well, of course, but
yeah,
there's not going to be salty. I think this one dropped 99%.
That doesn't surprise me. Okay. And the other one that you had was MGO, right? That's what you said, MGO?
You look at the market caps, dude, because I also like to look at the market caps. I think our chain is below MGO in market cap.
I remember DAV. Do you remember DAV? We built actually a fundamental screener back when the market was really, really low.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I need to update that fundamental screener.
Well, the irony of it all is maybe not. Maybe these assets need to have come all the way back down to those levels. Because through 2016, I guess 2017, we were kind of like, Jesus Christ, we're never going to find a coin with a market cap of $100 or $500,000 because everything was like $5-10 million, right? So maybe that in itself is not bad. We should probably review that. But do you remember off the top of your head, what was the market cap level that we were looking for that we really liked?
The market cap level for second tier coins, or or
Hey, I like the fact that you're starting to use that new term that we've created. So that's cool.
Well, I did have like, for example, 25 million was like anything over 25 million was, I do remember, was good coins, like for example like Dash and stuff like that that you wanted to get into. But if it was like under like $1 million or something like that, it was like a second tier coin.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to blow my schnoz.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I guess I'm talking about like the real junior pieces of poo. But you know, like this thing here, they've got 373 million coins outstanding right now. You know, even now at this price, they got a market cap of $11.5 million. That to me seems a bit rich. I don't know. And if anything, you know, that was the one thing that the Bloomberg guy, the reason why he thought that Bitcoin probably wasn't going to see new all-time highs for quite some time was just that there was so much supply of these coins coming out. And he just felt like the market was being diluted.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, 370 million. I mean, $11.5 million market cap.
That's the rumor with our chain right now, is why price is so low, is because people are liquidating. There was venture capital funds set up,
Yeah.
and now some companies acquired some rock, and now they've been liquidating constantly. And without the buy pressure from back then,
Yeah.
they just can't keep up.
There's a copy of my screener right there. Just gonna
Oh, awesome,
put
dude.
on a note, so
I don't know whether I don't know. We can show this on the screen. There is Dav's screener. So pretty. I mean, we started off the conversation with, oh, and smile. I love that. You know, we started off the conversation with Dav put a lot of time and effort and really hard work into his education. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It's just really top notch, dude. So market cap greater than 100 million gave you a +1. Oh, that's interesting. I seem to remember we had one where we were hunting for like coins that were like $500,000 market cap. But anyway. Maybe that was so long ago. That might have been 2 or 3 versions ago.
There's less than 50 coins over 100 million market cap.
Well, that's good.
That's
We
good.
have to watch out for the T cap, the total cap.
That means we're really at the bottom there.
Well, that's good. You know, we're washing this thing out. And me personally, you know, like I'm an old stock guy, and a lot of our stock screening models, they require that the coin has less than like 20, 30 million out. So, you know, those are the kind of numbers that excite me. 50 million? Okay, you know, we're starting to get into respectable territory. That's not bad. But the ones that
some of these go up to 100 million, and they're nowhere near as good as our chain at all.
Huh. So maybe you could ask the guys at Archain to roll the coin back. And I remember there was a couple names a few years ago that actually did go and consolidate the coin and roll it back. And I think it makes it a much more marketable product, but that's just me.
Yeah, Neos did that as well. But now they're not doing so well. Like if you could put up the Neos chart, I could have swore they were like on their knees.
NEOS?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise. I mean, what isn't on its knees right now, eh? Ooh, looks like somebody got out in a big way.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, maybe these guys might. Well, okay. So here's such a great example where I run it, and I think this was the reorganization right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, the interesting thing is somebody took a position in here. And it looked, you know, like as Jesse was saying, you know, people are dumping that RHOC coin, I think you said it was. I personally think into the end of this year, we're going to see a lot of tax loss selling. And I think that's exactly what's sort of, you know, keeping a lid on this market right now. So, you know, seeing this kind of pressure and seeing somebody, this is like what I would call capitulation, right? Somebody just said, get me the hell out of here. And interestingly enough, if they booked any profits through this January time period, then they actually have capital gains that they have to offset. So they actually have incentive to actually book capital losses. So yeah, we might see a good chunk of the markets being driven by that as well. Okay, so we have Archain, we have the MGO. I don't know. One more idea from you, Jesse?
I like this one because the big volume came in here
Well, that's good. And what's this?
and then waited a few more months. Don't buy that little pump.
OST.
OST.
OST?
But this one's just another ICO.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know about really? OST versus Bitcoin and Bittrex? Is that what I'm looking at? Am I looking at the right thing here?
Maybe check a couple different exchanges, Binance maybe, or...
And how many are out on this thing? 400 million? Oh boy.
800 million total. So.
Yeah, but she's 400 million coins. Like this is the same thing getting with that Bloomberg guy. Yeah. Oh boy. You know, you just said wicks and tails like to be eaten. Really don't like the look of this big old tail down here. Interesting though. Look at the OBV. Yeah. Somebody is piling in here big time though. So that is interesting. What's the fundamental story here, sir?
I saw Ian Bellina review this one earlier on in his career, and he said it was pretty good. He does like back research, goes to like people's LinkedIn's, and like looks at what they've done before. It was from a guy that had a good company before.
Okay,
I think I might pick some of that.
I think the story is easy to use smart contracts.
Okay.
Hey,
interesting that they're listed on.
Is it cool if we share that document, or do you want to keep that?
No, you can share it. You can share it. That's fine.
Okay, a couple people were asking in the chat, so
it was kind of small to read.
All right, so actually, out of this show, you
Brian,
got.
Did you ever look at ICO price compared to like current market cap?
You know, me personally, I wonder. You know, especially you know, Binance myself, I don't know. I'm a little bit leery about this. I've watched a lot of coins just get destroyed here. And I suppose your coin here has come off quite a bit. I have seen you, though, when you tweet out. And I think that's a really interesting study. You know, like what is the discount of current market versus what they ICO'd at? What was the price that this thing ICO'd at?
I think it raised about 50 million. And so now it's only worth 10.
Ooh.
So about 5 times. Yeah. See, I would love a story like this if it only had like 20 million coins out. I'd love a story like that. But with 457 million coins, that gives me a little bit of heartburn. So, but that's just me. That's just Brian.
You can bring it down a bit cheaper. One of my fave coins.
THC.
There's a blockchain too, so not an ICO.
I love the pot coins. I think, ironically enough, the pot coins actually have a lot of fun. Right? We're coming into 420. My hunch is these things will have probably a nice little rally into that. I wonder how much of the pot coin market, though, has been basically evaporated because pot now is legal and in Canada. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the more legit pot coin, crypto or pot stocks are trading on like Toronto Stock Exchange and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it almost feels like some of the pot sort of crypto story has lost some of its inertia. I saw there was a bunch of delistings like that Sativa coin. They went up in flames, eh?
Yeah.
There was
a lot
few
of the lower market caps just kind of faded away.
Yeah. But 221 million, still pretty heavy here. Mind you, that's pot coin. So just THC was also in that sort of camp too.
They're almost the exact same market cap right now.
So, you know, the question is how low is low? How you know, like you look back in July 2016, you see that nice WE price action in there on your yellow line. I mean, that's what I really want to see out of these names, right? And then we'll know that the bull is rocking and rolling. Well, I'd even go further back than that, like 2016 July. Yeah, you were there. A little bit over. Yeah, right down in there. You see that beautiful W?
You all know that was the best time to buy altcoins.
Well, so the point here is that do we see that kind of W action right now out of the name? And we don't, right? If anything, it almost looks to me like right now we're sitting probably like around January 2015 there, right? Maybe, and we have to go through sort of a summer, maybe even a full year of just sort of consolidating before we actually start rocking and rolling again here. But, you know, as we had sort of said earlier, we're sort of in that hangover. We're still getting over the top. The great part about it is the fluff has been taken out of these markets. You know, little old lady nanny nibbles kind of idea on any of the names that I think we've talked about today. I think if you're patient and you're disciplined and you just work your orders at doubles, I think you could probably get free positions on any of these names that you've mentioned, Jesse.
I see that all the time. All I can think is there's an easy double up. There's an easy double up.
Right on. And really, you know, the irony of all this from a trader's perspective is all we want to do is just find opportunities where it's realistic for us to make money. We're not necessarily looking for new all-time highs, but when that happens, of course, then we're talking Lambos, right? But in the short term, sorry?
That might be years away, though, still.
Yeah, I think so. Probably our next sort of Lambo cycle is, you know, 2020 is next Bitcoin halving. And so, you know, we're probably talking like 2020, 2021 kind of idea. And interestingly enough, for all those people that like to follow astrology, really, really big event coming up here, Jupiter-Saturn cross in 2020. And my hunch is we're probably going to be in the poop until that event. And then once we get on the other side of that event, then we can start the next cycle. So it's going to be a bit of a slog here, no doubt about it. But the great part about it, guys, is does anybody remember Altcoin?
Yes.
All right.
Right? Altcoin. We're all supposed to be living in.
I haven't looked at it.
I don't think they're not going to be on CoinMarketCap anymore. I can tell you that's for sure.
Put it into Coinigy. I want to see.
I don't know. I don't think Altcoin comes up here anymore.
It's got to be listed somewhere still.
No, are you kidding? They're long gone. They're long gone.
Oh,
They're long gone. But the point here is that
I'll have to look in our database.
Hey, there it is. Is that Altcoin? Yeah.
That's right.
You know, you can see January 2015 on Jesse's chart into April 2015. So there are going to be nutso winners through the shit. So everybody, you know, don't lose faith. What we really need to do is just stay cognizant. You know, listen to Jesse if we start to see his little OST or his little you know, MGO, and I can't remember what the other one was, RHC or something.
Story about our chain is mainnet's coming in around April.
All right.
Around March,
okay.
April, May.
Do we all remember Pivx? People made fortunes on that Pivx, and it just came out of nowhere. So there will be money to be made here, and there will be, you know, hopefully we're not living in Mobies, but there will be these face rip coins through the next couple of years. So, you know, don't lose your focus. Yeah, maybe Bitcoin needs to take another year or so to clean itself up, but that doesn't mean there can't be altcoins along the way. So just have some fun in this space, right? PMA for the win, all that. So thank you very much for those great ideas, Jesse. I'm so glad you were able to pop in here and hang with us and give us some names to chew on. I can tell you right now, you've given me 4 names that I'm definitely going to keep an eye on.
MGO. That
Can we take a look at Dash? I mean, I haven't looked at charts myself in a while. I know that I got a signal that Dash to buy Dash.
I got to tell you, you know, I got to say, and this is why I absolutely love TRI, because really what TRI now has become is it's become like an amalgamation of many, many different people. And as Dav and I were working together on his education, he actually discovered that he really loved to see W's in OBV and W's in price momentum oscillators like the Williams percentage R or relative strength index. And whenever those 2 W's came in, wow, powerful signals. And we actually affectionately on the site called them Davos. And what's so cool is we have some really great programmers on the site. One gentleman out of the Netherlands, Sen, basically algoritmized Davos. And then we had another gentleman who works on the site. He's part of the TRI. He's a TRI principal who integrated the Davos signals that San created through his algo. And thanks to Dav's hard work to identify this setup. And so now we literally get these spat up on a daily basis, all our Davos, right? And actually, yeah, today we had a whole bunch of them come in. I think it was like 19 different signals came in. And it's interesting. I really like these guys at Syscoin. So it's interesting to see how they came up on the screener today. But anyway, the point that I just make is
studio right now, if they got any fundamentals to give away.
I beg your pardon?
We got the Syscoin team in the studio right now.
I think they're, you know, I actually watched those guys like 5 years ago. And what I absolutely love about them is that they have just been doggedly persistent. They haven't given up. And, you know, I remember watching, you know, when Alex interviewed them and they were very serious about what they were doing. And this is an exact sort of comment on, and this is Dash. So why don't we put Sys up here? This is a great comment on the people that say that altcoins are going to zero. They're full of horseshit, right? Like these kind of guys, I love these guys. And look at that beautiful W. Wow. I mean, W's are W's are W's. And, you know, anybody who takes the education program with TRI, this is sort of like our bread and butter is, you know, W's are bullish, M's are bearish. So, and it's interesting. I showed you, you know, like the system told us to pay attention to Sys here. And I got to tell you, it's a good looking chart, right? You know, has the rally, you know, please don't chase this here. That doesn't make any sense. You know, if anything, you know, we showed you that reload zone concept. If you do want to participate in this story, you know, there's Mountain Man. There's our line in the sand. There's Ian's Leprechaun level. So, I mean, you know where you should start thinking about being a buyer if you're interested. But just to finish this off, we'll take a quick boo at Dav's Dash. That's tough to say. It's trying to bottom. The only problem is, where's Amanda these days?
She's still around?
I don't think so. I think she left. She literally got out like right up here. Yeah. And we used to joke all the time about, remember Amanda's penthouse? Apartment. Yeah. No, the penthouse. Ooh.
Yes.
And this is, interestingly enough, these guys were the principals behind the Pivx story, weren't they?
I don't think so.
Oh, Pivx was something different. I seem to remember that they were associated. But anyway, that's here nor there. You know, you could clearly see where the bottom is on Dash, right? There's the W way back there. You know, are we there yet? Still a bit of open space.
Wow.
And also, too, if, you know, remember we talked about earlier, look left. Well, lower highs, lower lows. Lower highs, ooh, big M, yuck. More M. We could potentially be putting in a W here. Kind of like Sys, right? If these guys can come out with some half decent story, maybe. But that's a nasty railroad tracks there, right? Bang, bang. See you later. And the problem is, if we change this to a line chart, watch what happens to our potential W. Oh, it's gone. So the problem here is I don't think we've have the W in yet. And also, too, notice there's really no divergence here. So I'd love to be a cheerleader for Dash, and maybe it's going to be like one of these kind of counter trend rallies that comes in here. But I don't really have any great technical reason to get too bullish just at the present. And then, as I said just a moment ago, if we look left, I'm a little leery about names like this, because really you can see the last key support level and where the bottom actually is way down here. But I think that if we look left, what we really have to concentrate on is what happened down through here. And, you know, we have I think I told you earlier on, we have a gentleman on the site who loves price gaps. And hats off to him. He's a damn good trader. So I might be, oh, you see there's a little gap right there, right? So I might be focusing on that level. Let's see what happens there. And if we happen to have any other gaps in here, I might be. It looks like there was a gap, but that was filled in. Yeah, I think I might be concentrating. Let's see what happens when price gets down into this level here. There's also a juicy gap right there. And let's see, what the momentum, what price structure looks like when we get down into these. So those are those gaps, a little bit lower than where we are right now. And really, ultimately, the original double bottom is this line here. So I still think we got a bit more work to go here. And is there any signs of W's here? Not yet, not in my opinion. All right, I told you my 2 cents on Dash. I love the idea, nanny nibbles, right? If you can, a dollar cost averaging, I'm just going to go put less than, the cardinal rule in the stock market, don't put more than 5% of your money at risk in any one single investment. Whether you do that in crypto or not, I love the idea of just 1-2% kind of ideas in these. What was the term that we came up with, Dav?
What?
Second tier coins.
Second tier coins.
But technically, this is supposed to be first tier, isn't it? Dash, isn't it supposed to be?
Yeah, it's the first.
So, if you want to put yourself on a dollar cost averaging program and just slowly accumulate this, I think you'll do fine over time if these things survive. You want to try and time your purchases. My hunch is you're probably going to want to wait for this trend line to be resolved. And, ideally what we'd love to see is the market put in nice structure on the other side of this trend line. And then, we're ready to rock and roll. So there's nothing really to get too excited about here just yet. So. All right. We've been going for, almost 2 hours, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. What do you think? Do you feel like we've given these people some good value, some things to think about?
I think so. We have someone in chat asking to look at Steam. Do we want to pull that one up?
Sure. I guess the question is, which is sort of the most important asset there? Is it SBD or is it this Steam, right? Because Steam is does it have any intrinsic value? I don't know.
I don't know at this point either. I know SBD is worth something on the site.
Right. What's that? It's Dav, did you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I think but Steam is just basically a coin. They do give you there is a lot of Steam out, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm worried about.
That's how you earn money on the Steam site. So you get Steam, and then you sell those Steams for Steam dollars or whatever, or what's it called, Bitcoins, right?
So the thing is still worth $250 million. Wow. So, and actually, it was interesting. I was listening to somebody. Who was it? They actually had like 2 or 3 ideas, and they actually said that they thought Steam was a really good idea going forward in this space. That actually surprised me. So
take a look at that. There's, look at the volume. It is falling off a little bit, but not a whole lot, right?
Yeah. I suppose, look left. Where is key support? I think we can make an argument there was a pretty important level there that was lost. Then our next support level's got to be down in this area here. So that's sort of what we're playing with right now. And then, the interesting thing is, and this is supposed to be one of these stable coins. But SBD, if I'm not mistaken, is sort of like, I don't know what's the proper term for it. But this is supposed to be their sort of, like their,
Yeah,
I don't even know how to describe it. I'm not really that good at describing these. Yeah. But this is supposed to be the stable asset of the two, and then the Steam is sort of what's traded on the site and exchanged and stuff for credit and stuff like that. So is this a function, and if it's a stable coin, is it going the right direction given Bitcoin's price? I don't know. That's another conversation for another day. I do like the idea that there's this W working down in here. So that's encouraging. And I think we're basically, So I really do like this structure. That's pretty solid structure. So if you see these lows given, then it means there's something critically wrong with this story.
The one thing with fundamental wise is I believe they keep paying out their users. And so for the next 2 years, there's going to be the users of the platform selling the coins, possibly selling the coins.
All right. And is it Steams that they're selling, or is it these SBDs?
Steam.
So I
Steam.
love that. You know, there's only 3.5 million, but again, this is supposed to be their sort of stable coin idea. If we just go off of the speculative instrument, and I've seen some pretty darn big rallies. Usually what I've seen out of this thing is this thing will actually, you know, SBD might go up a little bit, but this thing, if it's going to rally, it goes absolutely nuts. And you see all these crazy ass wicks here, right? There are definitely doubles to be had here. So, you know, sitting down here at, what are we? We're, what does that number say? 6,900 sats. You know, is there a W working here? No. So there's no like rush. Oh my God, I got to go out and buy this thing. It is interesting to see that bullish divergence is actually coming in on momentum. So that's encouraging. Willie, of course, is nice and stupidly oversold. So it's way too late to be a seller. And what I actually do like I'm seeing here is this volume bar, 693,000, is it higher than this volume bar, 461,000? Oh, it is. So we actually have a rising volume trend. And if I'm not mistaken, you actually see a nice little W there. I don't know, Dav, what do you think? Is this going to qualify for a Davo? It's close.
No, it doesn't. It's close, but no.
Yeah. So, you know, there is money trying to flow into this. You do have this little W here. We're not going to call it a Davo per se. And if anything, what I would like to see now that the divergence has come in here, what I'd like to see is now give me a W to work with. So we got the divergence in price momentum. We've got rising volume. Now give me some sort of structure. As soon as I get structure here, then I can actually start entertaining the idea of buying this as a trade. So I hope that helps, Mr. Steam, whoever asked for that, or Miss Steam, whoever you might be. It's not a bad location. I mean, you're definitely thinking in the right area. And, you know, if you have to sit on this nanny nibble kind of idea, maybe throw 1% of your portfolio, maybe 2%, whatever, and you're just going to work open orders to sell halves on W's or on doubles, I think that's doable. But there's no time horizon. You might be sitting on this for the next year. That could very easily happen as well.
Cool. Well, I think we should probably start wrapping her up here. We're getting close to 2 hours here, so.
Yeah, actually, this has gone longer than I expected. So I'm glad. I love that, you know, when I start talking with, you know, educated people in this space and we start throwing around ideas, it's incredible how quickly time flies.
Oh,
so, yeah. You know, I really appreciate the conversation tonight. It's great touching base with you, Mr. Nakamoto. In fact, on the site, we're going to start calling the Davs Satoshi Davamotos.
Oh man, I'm never going to live that
just
one
don't
down.
forget about us little people, all right?
Yeah. No, you're never going to live that one down, dude. Never. Never. I'll come down to Chile myself on the back of a donkey. Remind you. It's great seeing you, Jesse. I miss you so much. I hope it, you know, Julian told me he couldn't believe we fucked up your account there. So I apologize on that, dude. But, funny. You know, it's we got you fixed up, and I'd love to see you in the daily briefs. I think you'd be an excellent contributor to the site. So it's great seeing you, and you've given me a few names for me to chew on here tonight. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
It was great to be here, guys. Thanks.
Cool.
I love your shows all the time.
Right on. In fact, it's remarkable how many people we have that come, oh, yeah, I totally watched your Coinigy shows, you know, from like 2-3 years ago. Great information. You know, it's unbiased. We're just going to give you the straight goods. We're not going to blow smoke up your bum. But at the same time, too, PMA is so important to me. I know Dav lives by it. Will has got such great karma. You know, I like being around these people. They're good people. And in this space, considering how salty and how negative the rhetoric can be on Twitter and stuff, this is like a safe haven. And if you are involved in the crypto space, please understand, people, like, there are people like Dav out there who have the best intentions, and myself, and I think the Coinigy people have the best intentions totally. And I think Jesse is a stand-up guy. I really loved hanging out with Jesse last summer, and I hope I can do more of that this coming year. In fact, we have the big TRI meetup.
Angie, though, we need USD charts coming soon.
Okay.
Because I love comparing the BTC charts against the USD charts too, to really.
Totally. Do you, and the names that you mentioned tonight, because they're on the decentralized exchanges, would you get a USD chart of those?
Well, that's why I use CoinMarketCap so much, is because they got the charts.
Yeah, we're looking at. Somebody asked about that in the chat. We're looking into getting that data into Coinigy as well. So
that's cool. All right.
Stay tuned.
Okay, I think I've talked way too much. So, Will, if you want to maybe take over this bus and wind this up, I suppose, please. Thank you very much, everybody, for indulging me. I really enjoyed chatting with you all tonight.
Yeah, thanks again, Brian. Thanks, Jesse, for popping in. Love to have you back. Davo, the based god, thanks for coming in. So I think we're going to try to do this again, hopefully like another 2 weeks or so, something like that. Maybe we can get Alex to join in. So stay tuned. Don't forget the obligatory like and subscribe and hit that bell, whatever the kids are saying nowadays. Yeah, lots of fun stuff in the works for Coinigy, lots of fun stuff in the works for TRI, therationalinvestor.com. It's no longer .com, folks.
Yeah, we all grew up, and you can see the website. This is now Sjord's official baby. Sjord is our official programmer for the site, and he's actually made us really, really proud. It's a beautiful site that he's put together. So super, super stoked about the new site.
Yeah, it looks great. So cool. Well, we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to check out Pandora's Wallet.
Yes,
but not everybody at once.
And well, if you check out a blog on davincicodes.net, I have a blog there and some videos on how to trade the little old lady style if you want to learn how to do that. Because you know what? That's what my software is really for, help you trade the little old lady style.
I'll go back to the screen.
All right. I'm not quite sure what happened to Jesse. I think he took his pants off.
Yeah. You saw you puff in your chest there for a second, and then you just anything you want to plug, anything you want to get off your chest.
Oh, he bailed.
He's done. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. We'll speak soon, and happy trails, happy trading.
Have a good evening, everybody. All the best.
Ciao.
Bye.